YouTube intro. Don't know how to do a YouTube intro. What's up, guys? Today we got some more Unscripted Jake. These are, honestly, I'm just chilling in my room, thinking about weird stuff that I spend my time on. And one thing that stuck with me that I've learned in the last week is that Nimrod was coined actually by Bugs Bunny. Nimrod, in case you were unfamiliar, is a famous hunter in Greek mythology, and Bugs Bunny used to call Elmer Fudd Nimrod, sarcastically, saying like, "Oh, you're such a great hunter," much like how we would call someone Einstein nowadays when they are not being particularly smart. This got me interested in what other weird things are more recent than people think they are. For example, if you go back 100 years and you call someone a Nimrod, they might be like, "Why are you talking about Greek mythology right now?" Whereas now, if you call someone a Nimrod, it's very obvious and apparent. So, I went online, and this is pretty much the first website I found about words coined in each decade. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to take a look, and I'm going to give my thoughts and opinions. Maybe this is some weird thing people want to see. At this point, honestly, guys, the way I look at this YouTube channel is, if I can make a future with it, dope. If I can't make a future with it, I'm going to look back at it in the future, and I'm going to get so much enjoyment from it. Anyway, so we're going to move to the topic of today's video. Words from the 1910s. Pipsqueak, a derogatory term for someone small and insignificant. Okay, not that interesting. Nosedive? Weird that nosedive is... bullshit. Apparently bullshit was not coined until the 1910s. And this is dictionary.com. So, like, I feel like, along with the source.com, they're probably reputable. Bullshit is only 100 years old. Oh, fuck, it's 2020. Okay, bullshit is 110 years old. It's barely older than Betty White. Alright. Broadcast. Oh, gosh. Words from the 1920s. Broadcast. Huh. Well, I mean, yeah, I guess why would that be a word before you could do it? Hijack. Yeah, that makes sense. Twerp. Okay, so twerp's been around for a while now. Let's see the etymology. According to folk etymology, the word comes from the proper name of Oxford student T.W. Earp, who was resented because he was just so great. So we call people twerp because there's one fucking guy one day whose name was literally twerp, and judging by this description, it seems like a fucking twerp. Weird. Gluten-free. Huh. This isn't... Huh. Gluten-free. Okay, I'm trying to fake surprise here, guys. I was actually reading this article, and that's where I decided to make this video. I don't know if any of you have worked in fast food. I've worked in too many fast food places, and I can tell you right now, you will hate gluten-free things in fast food because, well, they have to be gluten-free, so you have to stop what you're doing, get the gluten-free buns, disinfect your hands, make sure the surface you're doing it on is completely gluten-free. It's a pain. You don't really, it doesn't, you might hear me complaining right now and be like, "Oh, gluten-free, this is your job, do your job." It's more annoying than you'd think, much like most of fast food. Weird that it's 1927. This gluten-free oatmeal is used to make muffins. Weird. Jitters. Yeah, Jitters is the first one other than, like, broadcast and, like... No, other than broadcast, Jitters is the only one where I feel like if someone was like, "What year was the word jitters made in?" I'd be like, "In the 1920s, right?" And they'd be like, "Yeah, you're right." And then they'd give me money. Alright. Words from the 1930s. Teleportation. Huh. You know? I was going to say, considering most of science fiction didn't really exist at this point, and people were pretty fucking basic still, they're like, okay, obviously, like, religiously people weren't pretty basic, like, indigenous people, man, their religions are the opposite of basic. Their religions are sick, and if you haven't looked into them, I highly recommend it. But as far as, like, in general, people are too busy to think about stories. People are too busy to bother with fiction. So this one also makes sense to me. They probably just had a different word for it back then. I'm guessing raunchy. Weird. Raunchy's from the... Oh my gosh, my mouse. Raunchy's from the 1930s? That's insane. That seems specifically found in 1939, as in, by 6 o'clock, the raunchy old men are at the bar half drunk. Air Force cadets in Texas. Well, the origin's unknown and suggested that it comes from American Spanish ranchero. Oh, okay. Yep. That makes sense. Weird. Huh. Carpool in the 1940s. That makes sense. People were getting more money. Cars were much more readily available and cheaper. Yeah. Makes totally sense. Diffuse. Specifically 1943 as in everyone moved quick. Weird. I don't know, huh? Retiree. Yeah, this one makes sense because the baby boomers were the first motherfuckers that got... Oh, I guess they weren't baby boomers. The parents of the baby boomers? It makes sense. People weren't living long enough to retire. So the fact that retiree didn't come into existence as a word in the English language till the 40s, no, that makes sense. Sociopath. Again, this makes sense. The war's done. People are pretty strong now, mentally, and like we're good at stuff by the 40s. You know what I mean? So the fact that people could take a step back and start putting more definitive terms to a bunch of psychology makes a lot of sense to me here. I wish it had a little bit more info where it came from. Brainwashing. Interesting. The term came to the United States in the aftermath of the Korean War when the American public became gripped by the fear that GIs had been tortured and brainwashed. And okay, this is getting heavy. I thought this was going to be a fun little stint of, oh, bullshit. It wasn't a word to the 1910s, but now we're talking about brainwashing from the Korean War. Okay, the literal translation of the Chinese term, I can't speak Chinese, but I'm going to try. Zai now. Yeah, okay, yep, nope, that sounded terrible. Never going to do that again. Wash brain, interesting. Fast food. Okay, this is another one like, what was it, jitters? Pretty sure it's jitters. Yeah, jitters. If someone, gun to your head, when was fast food coined as a term, I would have guessed the 50s, for sure. UFO? Yep, that's going in line. Moisturizer? Yeah, before the 1950s, I don't think people were getting worried about moisturizer. I don't think they were in the depression like, you have Lubriderm? It's actually, I prefer the good stuff, you know, like $30 a bottle. So yeah, no, this totally. People would not be saying the word fucking moisturizer. Earlier than that makes sense to me. Database, yep, people are getting more scientific. Scam, huh. That, you see, to me, this is kind of weird because I feel like scam could have been a word before this, mainly because, well, people have been scamming people since the beginning and the end of time, and they will continue to scam people from now until the end of time. But I think of important deities like Odin, who are known for grifting, you know what I mean? They were Anansi. I mean, I have Anansi tattooed on my body, and Anansi was... Sorry, I hate saying his name like Anansi. Anansi was definitely a scammer. He really liked to use his wit to take what did not belong to him and make it his. Interesting. I would have guessed that scam was already a word. I guess it just maybe wasn't, you know, I'm sure, again, for a lot of these words, people had other terms for them. Gaslighting. This is a good one. Okay, because anyone who's been in the video game scene recently has probably come across this word because of Among Us, the game of deception where you have to lie to your homies, try to convince them that you're not the person murking everybody. And people will say nowadays a lot of times, like, why you're gaslighting me. Prior to this, the only time I ever really heard gaslighting was when people were gaslighting virtuous traits. For example, companies that say, like, oh, we're all about feminism, and then they go way too far the other way with it, where you're doing the opposite of feminism. And or relationships, where you're in a toxic relationship and your significant other is gaslighting you. From what I can tell, gaslighting is staring someone in the face and being like, nah, dog, that never happened. When they were there, they saw it, and there's no denying it. Gaslighting is when people look you in the face, and they have you so convinced because they just won't stop that. Oh, yeah. To convince someone they are going crazy in order to manipulate them as part of an abusive relationship. Okay, I should have just read the definition of it first. Specifically in 1961. As in, my partner convinced me they hadn't eaten my dessert and I had simply forgotten to buy more candy. When I saw the wrappers under the bed, I knew they were gaslighting me. That's so funny. 1944 remake of the 1940 film Gaslight, where a man convinces his wife she's going insane. That is so cool. This is why I made this video. This is why. I'm a nerd, yes, for a lot of things, video games, stuff like that. This kind of stuff intrigues me. Like, gaslighting became a noun from a movie about a dude gaslighting his wife. Like, that's so cool to me. Okay, the name of the film comes from the fact that when the man is searching for his family treasures in the attic every night, the gaslights in the house dim, although he denies this fact to his wife. I just got goosebumps. That's sick. Okay, maybe y'all aren't as big of nerds as me, but weird stuff like this really gets me going. That is so cool. And see, I'm going to carry that. You know how many people I'm going to tell about that in my day-to-day life? If anyone ever uses the term gaslighting at me, I'm going to be like, did you know that comes from the 1940 film Gaslight? Alright, we're going to move on because I've spent 3 minutes on gaslighting. Gentrify. This one's weird too, but I can see why it wasn't. Yeah. To develop a low-income urban neighborhood in a way that appeals to middle and upper-class tastes, raising property values in a way that displaces low-income residents. Yeah. It gets applied to a lot of more things nowadays, past just money. Like gentrifying and we're going to move past gentrify. We're going to keep it light, even though we just talked about gaslighting for 3 minutes. Wuss. Yeah, I could have seen that. I could have seen this word being around for longer. Deal breaker. Yeah, that's people just used to use a different word for it. Corbo loading. Yeah, this is the 80s when people started getting real dumb real quick. Text messaging, again, 80s. Yuppie. Oh, yuppie stands for young urban professional. As in 1984, it was brunch, and the yuppies were out in force, drinking rosé and taking pictures of their food. Oh my god. That's so good. Okay, so you're telling me that in the 1980s, people were still having the millennial talk? That's what you're saying to me right now, yuppie? Yep. That is, the older generation will always dislike the newer generation. That is what we learned while we drank rosé and took pictures of our food because we're yuppies. Channel surfing. Makes sense that this wasn't a word. Again, this is the product of the times. Tidy whities. This is a good one, too. He answered the door, looking confused, wearing nothing but his tidy whities. Whenever I see hear the word tidy whities, I think of Hal from Malcolm in the Middle. Fashionista. Again, it's the 90s. It's the 90s. Blog, yeah, Specifically 1999. Huh. Weird. I actually, yeah, I guess that makes sense. Binge watch, specifically found in 2003, as in my plant. I wonder why it's specifically 2003. I feel like binge watch is more of a recent term than 2003, but okay. Hot take. Oh god, now we're just getting unfriend. Oh no. Oh no. Now we're getting into it hurts my brain. Paywall. Weird. Huh. Yeah, okay. Okay, this is an interesting one. I'll talk about paywall. Something fun about paywall that I could talk about is people. I remember, like, the Elder Scrolls Oblivion. For anyone younger who views my videos, it's like 2006. So, like, I'm a children. 2006, I was 12. I remember the first DLC I ever encountered was the Elder Scrolls Oblivion. And I remember thinking, what a waste of money. Because this DLC, for Elder Scrolls Oblivion, was your horse got some armor. That was legit it. Like, you pay $5, your horse looks a little cooler, you get used to it in a day, you stop noticing it, why did I spend $5, okay? Back then I thought DLC was just stupid, but like if you wanted to pay for it, I wasn't going to judge you, I'd be like, cool horse, dog. You know? Now, with the whole uptick in EA and the way that a lot of companies, specifically gaming companies, like to do business is to lock things behind a paywall. There's a lot of gacha games nowadays. For those of you who aren't familiar with the term gacha, I don't exactly know where it originated from, but a gacha game is a game that is designed to take your money. It is designed to draw you in, and then they're pretty much like pseudo gambling games where you usually have to spend real money to spawn chances at getting better gear and people for your game, right? So paywall is actually an interesting term because paywalls went from you have to pay $5 for your horse to look cooler to like you are flat out fucking not getting content. You're going to pay $60 for our game, and then we're going to lock more shit behind a paywall. And you're going to play this $60 game, and you're going to go, huh, that felt kind of empty and weird. Like, felt like there was more. Like, they could have expanded on that, right? That's weird. And then you're going to pay 20 fucking more dollars, like 3 months later. And they're going to be like, oh yeah, here's the shit that we made with the rest of the game, but we wanted you to pay more money. That's interesting. That paywall is not that old, and I'm not surprised because the practices for things like paywall are pretty fucking commonplace nowadays. So yeah, man spread. That's a fucking good one. Specifically in 2014, as in when the guy sitting next to her tried to manspread, she glared at him and shoved her purse to block the space. It's a good one. People do manspread. People manspread. I manspread. Dead name. To use the name given at birth of a transgender person that they no longer use. Specifically found in 2014, as in it is incredibly insensitive and rude when people dead name Caitlyn Jenner. Huh. I did not know that. Well, that is the end of our video. I have babbled on and looked at some weird words now for 18 minutes. Anyone who watched this, if you even clicked it, and you're not even listening to my voice right now, if you clicked my video, you watched it for 2 minutes, threw a like at it, I fucking love you. If you didn't click my video, never threw a like at it, never gonna watch my videos. I love you too. You have no choice. There's no escape. I will see you guys soon. Drink some water.